Welcome back to the Ribbon Cut podcast by Strata Platforms.
I'm glad to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm happy to be here too. It feels really good to be back in Greenville.
Yeah, I can imagine you saying that. You've been on the road a lot. Seems like the month of May. If I remember correctly, you were at SelectUSA, Washington D.C. Thousands of people. I know. I've been there before. It's big.
Yes,
and
at
it's
National
fun.
Harbor.
In National Harbor, great little suburb of D.C. So I'd like to hear more about that. And then you were also in Sacramento at the C2ER conference, which, again, for me, not really being in this industry very long, I didn't know what that was. So I'm looking forward to talking to you about that as well.
Well, that was my first time attending that one, too. That one was recommended by Lisa Franklin, who's been in this industry for over 30 years. I'm very happy to have attended the C2ER event. The only thing that's challenging about the C2ER event is saying C2ER.
I agree with that. Yes. R2D2 or C3PO or C2ER. So that's where it confuses me. Well, tell me about the Sacramento, and let's start with that one, C2ER. Who is the typical attendees of the C2ER conference?
That one in Sacramento, California. So that one moves around each year to different locations, and it's the Council for Community and Economic Research.
Okay.
So those are the people behind economic development organizations. So it's U.S. only. So it's focused on the United States. There's representatives from all 50 states and most major metros. So think Phoenix, Raleigh, Atlanta, the larger ones.
Yeah, I would think if their research within economic development organizations, my first initial thought, I don't know if this is right or wrong, is it's got to be a fairly large organization, because if it's a small economic development organization from a county or town, they're not going to have those people. Am I accurate in saying that?
That's absolutely right. The economic researchers are serving those regions. So if a community or a county doesn't have an economic researcher, they're pulling from the resources of the larger metro or the state.
Okay.
There's about 1,100 people that are part of the C2ER organization.
Okay.
And about 300 people were at the event in Sacramento. So enough to fill kind of a major ballroom at a hotel.
Yep.
And it was really interesting to be with people from all 50 states in one room. As you can imagine, no single state is exactly organized the same way.
Yep.
So, for example, sometimes the economic research function is sitting inside the Department of Commerce. Sometimes it's sitting inside of economic development. Maybe it's sitting inside the workforce development office. The function of what they're producing is very similar in terms of they are seen as the in-house experts on their labor market.
Oh, okay.
And on their businesses that are in their state,
Okay.
the industry sectors represented, the labor force.
Okay.
And some of my big takeaways from the event is just when you think about economic prosperity, site selectors and companies and economic developers are thinking about all the metrics of economic prosperity, average wages, infrastructure improvements, supply chain.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, the economic researcher is really thinking more specifically about the people,
Okay.
the labor force participation rate,
Interesting.
trying to understand who's working and if someone's not working, why, and how to get that person engaged in the labor market.
Interesting. So how do they, these researchers in their markets, how do they measure success? Like if you're an economic researcher in Raleigh, obviously they're economic developer driven, so they're looking for projects just like any other economic developer is. But I guess for them, it's making sure that the workforce can handle any project that is being talked about or on the way, or maybe they're looking at Raleigh. I'm using Raleigh as an example. So is that what they're challenged with, trying to make sure that there's workforce there for these projects?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think that's where it depends on where the researcher is sitting and who is asking the question.
Okay.
The researcher is apolitical, they're policy agnostic, they know where to go get information.
Okay.
So, for example, they are going to be they're sending surveys out to employers.
Okay.
So they know their state, they know the industries, the companies, the skill sets, and the type of labor in the state. Now, depending on who's asking the question might have a color, right? So if the Workforce Development Office is asking the question, the Workforce Development Office might say, we just landed a major manufacturing project. The skills of this project are X, Y, and Z. Hey, can you help us understand where we have those skill sets in the state now? Because we need to go talk to those experts that have those skills, the professional associations, the community colleges.
Yep.
We need to go let them know this project is coming and we need to build a coalition around getting prepared. So I would say the researcher is more of a connector
Gotcha.
of where the information and expertise lies with whom is asking for the information.
Cool. Did you learn anything while you're out there?
Yes. So I learned that I was really inspired by the focus on livelihood and upward economic mobility.
Okay.
It made me feel very proud. When you're working in an economy, it's very easy to think that you're all alone or you're isolated or you're by yourself working your job. Understanding that there's this network of 1,100 professionals and most likely more
Yeah.
across the country who are providing this interconnected web of looking out for the American worker and understanding who's here, what skills we have. I left feeling really uplifted.
Good.
That there's this resource all across the country because it's that data and information then is fed up to the federal level, to the Bureau of Labor Statistics,
Yep.
as well as other Census Bureau and ACS organizations. So site selection consultants, for example, utilize that federal data
Of course.
to drive location decisions.
Yep.
So it was literally putting faces and personalities behind the data collection made me feel fantastic about the, I guess, competitiveness of the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in a real sense, a lot of those people are competitors.
They are competitors.
They are competitors.
And collaborators.
They're trying to win business for their community, and they might be seeing some of the same deals, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's an interesting part of this ecosystem to me, is that they are competing for some of these deals, and these deals can be transformational. As you're talking, I'm thinking about the Scout Motors project here in South Carolina, and it's 4,000 workers are what's needed for Scout Motors, and I'm thinking about that person that Scout Motors was talking to, that was asking the questions of, are you going to have 4,000 people that can come work for us, right? That's a huge It's a huge deal, right?
What are you going? If you're the person representing Scout Motors, you're asking the state, the region, the community colleges within probably 100 miles or further.
Yep.
What programs do you have in place that can help prepare the workforce so that we can hire the skill sets that we need?
Yeah.
And that is the type of – so that actually was one of the keynote presentations at lunch. So one of the lunches one day, there's a data organization, a labor market intelligence organization called Lightcast.
Yes.
And Lightcast used to be called MC and Burning Glass, two different organizations that merged.
Okay.
MC being around for multiple decades with an expertise in assembling labor market information from government and other sources, and Burning Glass having an expertise in more real-time intelligence that you would find from job market or job postings
Yeah.
or LinkedIn postings.
Okay.
So the two organizations came together. Lightcast was one of the sponsors of the event, and Strata Platforms was one of the sponsors of the event. Lightcast spoke at lunch about asking the audience, how are you utilizing the site selection project information that you might have insight on 3, 4, 5 years ahead of time, and you won't win them all,
Yep.
but you can take some insights and some trend analysis from that information to inform your preparation. So that was a kind of throwing down the gauntlet or
Yep.
throwing a challenge out to the audience is asking the audience, how are you using that information to prepare? And I think everyone's doing that a different way. I think that's an area for Strata Platforms
Yep.
to be a part of
Yep.
in terms of how might information about site selection project opportunities be organized in such a way as those at the state and regional level can see those types of trends and insights
Yep.
of
Agreed.
what's coming down the pipeline.
Agreed. Cool. Well, that sounds interesting, I would think. And as I pivot to SelectUSA, and again, you and I went there together last year, and this year you went. SelectUSA to me seems like the polar opposite of what you were experiencing in Sacramento, where it's huge booths, people really selling their state,
Yes.
rolling out the red carpet for foreign direct investment, and really selling the fact that their state is the best state to do business. And I enjoyed that show a ton, and because it really is a celebration to me of our country and the fact that we're a great place to do business. And it could be Georgia, it could be North Carolina, it could be Oklahoma, but they're all there selling their state. And so anyway, I know you got to go and see that again. Tell me about SelectUSA. How was your experience there?
I am very happy that our federal government, the U.S. Department of Commerce, chooses to host this event every year. I think it is one of the smartest things that our federal commerce department can do for our country. It is the Super Bowl of international business. 4,000 attendees from 80 different countries filling up a huge conference center to come and essentially interview with,
Yep.
investigate any location in the United States. There's federal agencies there to share information about market entry and visas and permits and regulations. Utilities are there to share information about not all areas of the country are created equal in terms of their fuel source or their partnerships or their incentive programs. You have railroads that are there, law firms, accounting firms, site selection consultants, and then, of course, the economic development organizations. So if you're in international business and you're even remotely thinking about selling into the United States or putting a facility in the United States, it's really the best use of time I can think of to come to that event for a few days and then be armed with that information and those relationship partners who are all teed up ready to help. So it's a fantastic event. The SelectUSA organization also has events all year round. So they'll do these road shows and go to different regions of the country, and also in 16, I might be a little bit wrong on the number, but I think in 16 locations around the world, they have foreign trade offices that Commerce does to help keep those conversations going for the rest of the year.
To me, we were talking about the C2ER conference and how those people in different regions are actually competitors competing for a lot of the same projects. The same thing's going on at SelectUSA, right? You've got these foreign direct investment or people looking to make an investment into the United States and maybe build a manufacturing facility. and you've got, several site selectors there with their booths touting what they can do. And then you've got states right next to them touting what they can do. For me, it was eye-opening because I saw the entire ecosystem in one room of who we're trying to, who we're trying to support and who we're trying to bring on as customers. The states, the site selection experts, the construction companies who are doing some site selection of their own. So yes, for me, it was you said it earlier, the Super Bowl of economic development. That's really what it was, because it was all of who we want to sell to in one room, right? And it's all of them trying to recruit their next client, which I think is really cool. So I enjoyed being there.
One of the when you are describing all the different players in the room, one of the visuals I think about is the Bureau of Economic Analysis at the federal level. On their website, going back decades, you can look up which countries are investing the most in the United States. So, for example, in South Carolina, I think we have over 50 different countries represented in terms of actually having manufacturing or some type of business facility in South Carolina.
Wow. I didn't know it was that number.
And at the federal level, they're tracking across the entire country. So, for example, you can look at a top 10 or a top 15 or a top 20 countries worth of investments in the U.S. So what's really interesting about being at the SelectUSA event with these international investors is if I'm an international investor, knowing that I have the state organization and consulting companies and construction companies that all are standing ready to support me, I would feel really buoyed to have options. Meaning, if you know exactly where you want to go and go talk to a state directly, you're still most likely going to want to have help from a consultant to negotiate the deal.
Yep.
And construction costs vary wildly. So why not go talk to 2 or 3 different construction companies, because they all have a little bit of a different expertise.
Yep.
And you can do that all in one room. Also, every foreign direct investor has a different recent experience, meaning some companies are building facilities every single year, or 2 or 3 or 10 facilities a year. Other companies may not have built a facility for 30 years.
Correct.
So what's great about economic developers and site selectors is they've been working with each other for decades.
Yes.
They did a deal together last week. And so oftentimes there's collaboration. So it's a very friendly competition with industry experts all together, working together. So that's what I like about the SelectUSA event is it's like a professional NBA or a professional NFL. You're competing on the field, and then as soon as the game is over, the 2 quarterbacks are shaking hands and saying, "Hey, I'll see you later."
And if you're a foreign direct investor, you go to that conference. When you leave, you've got an idea of next steps. Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really what for them. It's you've got cards, you've got site selector cards, you've got law firm cards, you've got states cards, and you're like, okay, if I'm in charge of building this facility in somewhere in the United States, and my boss has tasked me with that, I at least have a playbook now to say, okay, I can either talk to them directly and try to source it and do it myself, or I can go down a consultant route or let them do it. So it at least it gets you started down the road to me, and that's the cool thing about that conference.
You can come with a completely empty notebook.
Yes.
And have no information at all on how to get started, and you will leave the SelectUSA event with a checklist, a process flow, options of who can help you. It is really one of the best resourced events I've attended, where it's not about just wishing an investor luck. The United States, going back hundreds of years, is a place that welcomes foreign direct investment, and it continues to do so. It's been one of
Absolutely.
the major growth engines of the country.
It's obviously it's rejuvenated right now, right? I mean, that's at a macro level. Foreign direct investment is really big, and people are looking to build in the United States or expand their operations in the United States. So it's a good time to be in this ecosystem, I would think.
And then I would just add that if you the cross-border collaboration. So some other organizations that are at the SelectUSA event, the European Chambers of Commerce, the Asian Chambers of Commerce, really, because there's 80 countries worth of people that are attending, there's also the chambers and business associations that will attend and bring a group of their businesses with them. So there's that cross-border collaboration that's happening as well, because maybe building a facility in the United States is not the best course of action. Maybe it's strengthening an already existing trade relationship, or finding a supply chain partner, or finding a sales office.
Yeah.
And so those types of relationships are strengthened and reinvigorated as well.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you were able to travel across this wonderful land. You saw California and the outskirts of Washington, D.C. So if you were an economic developer and were not able to attend SelectUSA, what are your recommendations for them? Where should they go?
Well, that's a really great question. If I'm going to pretend to be in a location, if I'm an economic developer that was not able to attend the SelectUSA event, one of the things that I would have to remind myself is that there are 80 different countries worth of people that are attending. And if I'm not familiar with all the specific details of those 80 countries, then it's unreasonable to expect that they're familiar with every specific detail of where I'm from. So I would say it's meeting that foreign direct investor where they're at with a familiarization of the location. So really producing website or flyers or emails that walk a foreign direct investor through, this is our state, these are our major regions, these are our available properties. Potentially having multilingual support, which often many state organizations do have someone in the economic development audience or office that speaks multiple languages.
Yep.
And then I would also have some specific information about the skills of the workforce by industry sector.
Yeah.
So not just we have manufacturing skills, but we have mechatronics skills, electrical engineering skills, pharmaceutical manufacturing skills. So that next level occupation data to match up with what the company is thinking about by industry sector.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Well, good. I'm glad you were able to travel.
I was grateful for the opportunity.
I look forward to seeing everybody on the road. I appreciate it, and thank you, everybody, for joining us here today on the Ribbon Cut.